meeting to order for our scheduled health department meeting. So have you guys had a chance to review the minutes? So do I have a motion to approve the minutes or any additions or corrections?
Motion to approve.
We have a second.
I second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that passed. Staff reports are in the packet here in front of us. The one thing that stuck out to me, Mindy, on the biostatistics, is that one of our death certificates showed up in New York City.
Yeah, apparently so. I got a call from a special agent at the Department of Justice, and he wanted verification and a copy of the death certificate. So I kind of questioned him and said, well, how do I know who you said you are? He's like, well, he says, you can call the number. He said, look up the address.
Trust me.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't see any questions there.
So I got a question about the residential on-site sewage permits. We have 24 that are issued and not installed.
Yeah, last year, it was carryover for several from last year because of the late start. But I anticipate that to accelerate here with the good weather that we're having.
That seems like an awful lot that they're not getting done that we got issued.
Let's see. So we provided one card sheet I see on the nursing report, and I see, Alicia, you still have a little bit of training to do on that, or are you all trained?
I did my training in February.
Okay, so you're good to go.
I am.
Okay. And, do we have anything else, or would somebody entertain a motion to approve the staff report?
I'll make a motion that we approve the staff reports.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. Okay, the health officer report, do you have one, or if you, okay. And I see under old business, we have the mobile, unit permit update. So, see if I understand this correctly. We had a fee that our county charged for a food truck. We also had a temporary fee for a food truck, correct?
Yes.
And then the state is centralizing that fee schedule.
Yes.
And it's doesn't matter whether it's temporary or whatever, it's like $450.
Yeah, and
Correct.
we'll keep 200 of that, and they get 250 of that. And then the way that when AJ was here and I was talking to him, there will be other things that will cost us, because like when they get their permit, it'll be like a car tag sticker, like when you renew, and they'll send us blank stickers, and the system will generate it, and we'll have to, as of right now, purchase a printer from the state to print those tags.
Not that they will provide it, but they will ask us to purchase it.
Yes,
And then will they send like the sticker to you, and you give them the sticker when you do a inspection? Or,
yes. When they file their application, they'll come here, they'll get it inspected, and then they'll get the sticker.
So wait a minute, so you'll inspect them, send the report to the state,
At this point, yes.
then the state will send them a bill for $450, or you collect that?
We collect it, and then Mindy has to distribute
Yeah,
them
I
their
have to
part.
send a check to them.
To
however
the
they
state.
request. Mhm.
And then they issue, boy, that ain't convoluted, that sounds like the state. Yeah, that is convoluted.
So,
They're gonna collect $250, require us to print the thing and buy the printer from them. I think for $250 they can provide.
well, and, you know, like, we sat in on
There's gonna be,
a joint
However many.
webinar, and it was supposed to be 2 hours, a lunch break for an hour, 2 hours. By the time we made it to lunch, they let us know they were getting so much pushback from the local health departments in the webinar meeting that they're like, we're not continuing, we're done. Because one of the things that has come out is say like, I only can permit food trucks that originate in Spencer County. So that's where our loss of income is gonna come from, because I only have 6. And, the bad part about it is, say, they call it a statewide permit, but it's not. They can only go 60 miles from their home county.
Wow.
Wow.
When Kentucky says statewide, they mean it. Indiana, no. But say, they go to Vanderburgh County and they set up at a festival, and a Vanderburgh County inspector says, you've got all these violations, they're gonna call me, and I have to drive there to make sure they clear up their violations. So that was a lot of the pushback on it now. You're wanting a county to pay comp time and mileage because whoever violates them can't make them clear it up.
So what if they wanna go over 60 miles, do they have to go to that county and get, like, if they wanna go to Vincennes?
They literally cannot go more than the 60 miles. At this point. But like I said, there is a lot of pushback on this. Because, you know, one of the inspectors in the chat had wrote, have you people ever even inspected any place or any food truck? And I don't think that they completely understand.
Because I know there's one here that goes like to Vincennes, and it'll even go up to, maybe Terre Haute, I think.
I've got 2 that go far, that are from this county, and they won't be able to do that.
we have crossing state lines now, are they gonna be able to do that anymore?
They can actually get a permit through Kentucky, and Kentucky's gonna take them. Because
So if we
Kentucky
had
has statewide. But see, the glitch in all this is
So what if
too,
somebody from Owensboro wants to come here, they can't do it?
But they
not
gotta.
not by the new thing, they're not supposed to be able to come in.
Right, we can do temporary. We could
We can do a temporary,
Which is $450.
No,
No.
Temporary's less.
well,
by day.
by day.
Yeah, was it 15 days a year they can operate? That's what we were talking about earlier, is that, all the counties, the larger counties, their lawyers have looked into this and they said that this is strictly focused on the mobile, so they don't feel that it affects the temporary, but if you read in that verbiage, there's a lot of it that does make it seem like it does touch the temporary too. So your larger counties are saying that they're gonna go ahead and do temporary permits, they've always done, and they'll continue to do it because they're not gonna hurt the small businesses.
Well,
That makes sense.
it does. Let me ask you this, when was the seminar? Was it February or?
Well, the one that, I watched one and then watched one.
When it, in March.
Yeah, it was in March.
They were in
Both of
March.
it was in March.
Well, the reason I'm asking that question is because obviously they got a lot of pushback
Okay.
in that. And whether or not you feel like they might reconsider some of this and come out with some other verbiage or something later. I know the state doesn't have to, but I personally would think that a temporary license is appropriate for all of these little events that we have. in the county.
But, so you're saying issue a temporary permit, but what if they want to go to Perry County?
Perry County can do it temporary.
Yeah.
The temporary is just for Spencer County, correct?
Yeah, that's what I do. I wouldn't issue any permit with that.
The only thing they'd have to watch would be how many days they operate. If they wanna operate year round, then that's gonna push you in that $450 bracket. Being mobile.
Yeah, we have Spencer County Fair. People come in, you know,
Del Fall Fest?
Right,
Well,
Mariah Hill has that old-time baseball game, they've had food trucks up there. I mean, and there were one-day events. Well,
Yeah,
that
and
is-
then you get into like St. Minded Rocks, and then
Yeah,
those couple of day events that Santa Claus does where they bring in food trucks. I mean, we get a lot of food trucks, like I said, that only come maybe 2 days out of the whole year. So, I mean, the thing that I think we'll have to really watch is the ones that originate from our county and make them pay that whole mobile fee, just because if they go to another county and they ain't been licensed in their home county, then I think we might get into a little sketchy area.
yeah.
But again, what do they do if they wanna go further than that? They can't with a permanent permit.
No, they have to stay within the 60-mile radius outside our county.
Is that a new regulation?
Yes,
So,
because they used to, they could go to any county and get permitted.
So I would just get a temporary permit for here, and if I wanted to go to Vincent's, whatever, I'd get a temporary permit there. If I'm a person, I would just apply for a temporary, make sure I only do 15 days here. Right?
Well, it
That's
depends
the way
how
I
much
would do
money,
it.
it depends how often you wanna operate them, how much money you wanna make.
And some of these people, that's their primary business.
And I-
they operate year round.
And I do have 2 food trucks that are local to Spencer County that do operate year-round.
But, okay, yeah, okay. If they stayed in Spencer County or a 60-mile radius, but I'm talking about,
Can they do both? They can
Yeah,
do
that's-
permanent and they can
yeah,
do
that's what I was
gonna
temporary and
ask.
go outside, yeah.
I thought you said no. If they get a permanent permit, they can operate within 60 miles, but what if they wanna go, like, I'm just using Vincennes because I know it's over 60 miles, can they get a temporary permit up there?
I think that's gonna depend on what their local
That-
health
yeah,
department
that'd be
does.
county to county.
See, that's,
That's,
So is this a result of new legislation or is
Yes.
this some?
And they're doing a lot of new legislation, because now they're getting into home-based vendors too. And that will actually, once they compare, because on those, what they've done is they wrote new statute, but they never rescinded any of the old statute.
It's
So
amended.
now they're comparing them to see what's what and what they're gonna tell us to do. But like, it'll affect like farm stands.
it's towards the back
Oh,
of it.
okay.
Towards the back of it, local retail. It's got all the IC codes and what all they
No,
kind of outline.
So just allow them to.
The,
I mean, at least they would have to go on, this is what she said.
That's terrible.
There's an issue, potential, that's could be originated from.
Did they just revise this last year or this year or what?
They started revising mobile food code last year. It won't take effect till next year, because there's just like so much stuff that they're still working out based off what they legislators passed.
No, I wouldn't be surprised if it never took effect because they get so much pushback, they fix it.
But like on these home-based vendors that put farm stands out to sell like what they've made or what they've produced, now in the new home-based stuff, there'll be regulations on how far those have to be off the road. They'll have to provide them a turnaround area. And they expect us to drive around and find out if everybody's complying with that.
says it's not taking effect until January 2027, so we've got all this year just to let them bump their head and figure out what they're going to do.
Well, they say that they'll have the final stuff on the mobile to be able to educate us fully by July. That's what they did on the new food code. They implemented it, thought they had to do July 1, it went into effect 30 days, and then they didn't make us enforce it till this year because they had to educate us on the changes.
Yeah, well, the regulation and the enforcement, and
And I think, you just get into that, they get in a hurry, and then there's like really not good planning, unfortunately.
well,
But the full year mobile permit for the old rate was $1,050. That's what it says, right?
Oh, you're on your estimates, where we did those estimates.
Oh, yeah, that's what, like last year, that's what I brought in, but.
That's the income for the year.
That's income, that's not the rates.
Yeah.
I see,
Yeah.
I see, I
Yeah, that's the
It's on
income.
this page.
yeah.
I noticed in their
see.
logo,
Okay,
them a half year's $25 and a full year's $1,050, man, that.
But, right,
I'm like, what the hell?
so, and then like, we would just empty or issue a temporary permit for somebody that only wanted to come here for 1 or 2 days.
This is great.
Hopefully by July, they have the kinks worked out with all of it, and they have a better game plan than what they're putting on the webinars.
Okay.
And then the home-based vendors, you kind of really have always just let them alone until you had a complaint. But we're gonna have to wait and see what comes out within the next 45 days to know where we even have to go with them.
Well, it's sort of, we're in a wait and see what comes next from the state then. Okay.
Okay?
Well, it's good to have this discussion though, to completely understand a complicated
Yeah,
system.
and then, the state's saying that, starting next year, they're gonna look at pool code, because they haven't revised pool code for years, so I think we're gonna, probably for the next year or two, be in a vicious cycle.
All right. Well, everybody all right with going on to do business then? And talk about tattoo parlors? So, or potential.
Yeah.
So it had circled in this paper here that a tattoo establishment is $100 fee and an artist is $50. So if an establishment has 3 people, they each have to have a $50 license
License.
fee or something like that.
Yeah,
There's no test for that, right? I mean, it's just,
no,
there's no credential.
no,
So
they
you're,
just, basically, it's just, they gotta meet certain, sanitation within that, in that code.
If they
Mark was telling me, that's why he'll come down and train me, because I gotta know that they're sanitizing their equipment correctly. Other counties, their actual establishment license in Warwick County are $200, and then it's $100 per artist or, piercing person.
so is that sort of a suggestion that we're behind the times on our fees?
Yeah, I think we're
And-
behind the times, and I don't even know, like, if it actually comes in here, that we actually need to maybe not raise the establishment fee, but maybe just raise the artist fee. So,
I I think you ought to raise both of them.
I think it might be going even with what other people are doing.
Yeah, at least, what?
Just
yeah,
do it across the
Warren
board.
County, if not $50 more, just so maybe they'll stay there.
See, I'm gonna disagree with you there. Just because we don't like it, don't mean we should penalize it.
Yeah, but I mean, being consistent upon it.
Yeah, we'd be consistent, you know, like you said, raise it $50 more just so they don't come here. I don't blame that. Not that I have anything against that too. I don't, you know, I don't really want them here, but I don't think that my opinion should punish them just because that I don't want them here. So I would agree that we could raise it with every other county, but not, I mean, if everybody wants to go $50 more just so they won't come here, that's, I guess, fine with me. I'll vote against it. But, because I don't think you punish somebody just because you don't want it. It's legal. If it's prostitution or something, then you say, yeah, we'll charge them $25,000 a person, but I don't believe, just because I don't believe in it, I don't think we should punish them. That's my opinion.
I think
I-
raising the fees to be consistent with what the
You
surrounding
can be
counties are
consistent with
doing.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's my whole thing, if they're gonna, if we're gonna have them here, and we haven't raised it in a long time, I think it was 2004, I think that we need to just raise it to be more consistent with the surrounding counties.
So
Can we do that exactly before that? I think we can. do
we
that.
can recommend it, can't we? I mean, the
No,
commissioners.
I think
would have-
commissioners
Yeah,
have
you have to
any fees,
recommend
they have to, yeah, approve.
Approve it.
That's how, the track it needs to take, right?
Yeah.
So, do we know what the surrounding counties are? You mentioned Warren.
So they're $200 for the establishment and $100 per harvest,
In what counties?
Warwick and Du Bois.
Okay, to the 3 neighboring places.
How many establishments are we talking about?
Well, right now, the one that's looking to come here would come on Main Street here in the old graphic design building. Right beside the city hall. Yeah, and I have no idea how many artists, I just know that he had made the comment that he was gonna bring artists with him.
So, if we make that recommendation, then we take that forward at the next commissioners meeting, then, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are all of our other fees consistent with all the other counties? That
Yeah,
one we
now
just,
they
that
are.
one we've just never addressed and brought up to.
No,
We
we
just
did that
Yeah, we just did
last year.
a lot of them last year,
Okay.
doing fees.
We didn't do tattoo establishments because we didn't really have one, but we did look at them. I think they did a review last year, and, well, how's everybody feel about that? Somebody want to make a motion to change that to,
If we haven't raised it in 22 years, I think it's reasonable to do so I'd make a motion to raise the establishment to 200 and the individual artist to 100.
we have a second?
I'd second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Okay.
Opposed? All right. So we'll make that committee in a form of recommendation to the commissioners. Thank you. Minimum housing standards, the next new business thing. Have we been having complaints, Greg, and
Well, yeah, we've got a complaint up in the town of Dale, from a lady that's rented a trailer, sight unseen, without getting to look at it before she moved into it, is what she states. She sent a letter, a 2-page letter, I don't know if it's in your packet or not, but it's a 2-page letter of a run-on sentence. I mean, it's about money and all kinds of things that we don't really get into.
yeah,
And so she wasn't getting any satisfaction with, I guess, us. We contacted Dale, the town of Dale, and they won't do anything with it. It's a rental property or whatever. And so she went to state from, I guess, Mark Miller, the tattoo guy she's talking about. He kind of handles a lot of things. he's a good resource or whatever, so I got hold of him and talked to him on how to handle this, and he sent out these minimum housing standards that they use in, what county was that, Andy?
Says Hamilton.
Hamilton.
Hamilton, yeah. I don't see her letter.
I didn't put the letter in.
Is,
Okay, right.
is Dale have their own building inspector?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
We don't go in there.
Well, that was
But
just
if
gonna
it's a
say.
health concern, then that's where it kind of kicks us in. So, and some of the things that she was citing were health concerns. And the last time, she went back to state again with the letter, and they called and talked to her, and she called me another time. And so after I talked to Mark and we talked about what could be done, I explained to her that if we get the state involved in this and do air quality, mold assessment, and all of this stuff on this property, that if it's deemed unlivable, she has to move out. And she will not be able to go back in there until they do the improvements. And evidently, they're not going to do the improvements according to her, you know, and she wants someone to do something about it. And I feel for her problem and everything, but I don't really understand what we can do for her other than go down that road and she's gonna be homeless again, so.
Did she buy this property or rent?
No, it's a rental, it's a trailer, it's a rental property
Okay.
And where's it at, Dale?
in the town of Dale.
So you're saying if we choose to pursue this and enforce it, the only recourse if they won't remedy it is to basically condemn it, and then she's SOL, basically, so.
Yeah.
So she's really cutting her own throat.
Yeah.
Well, she said in the last conversation with me that she had got a lawyer, and I said that would be your best bet to try to recoup some of your money, you know,
Yep.
the $600 for this and some for that or whatever, and try to get out of the deal. But she works nights and you can't talk to her through the day because she's sleeping, and it's just one of those deals that's just hard to get a handle on, you know, and
Well, I know there's probably several houses in Spencer County that won't meet this standard.
totally.
So if we start doing that, then you're gonna have to go through every house in Spencer County that won't meet that.
Yeah, well, I got a call from the chamber, it was the Chamber of Commerce or Economic Development, asking if I had a list of all the unfit houses or whatever, and the addresses in this county or whatever, and I was like, no, there's no way, I mean, you're gonna have to hire someone else to run around and do that probably, I mean, it's just.
And how would you know some of them you could probably tell by looking,
Yeah.
you know, some of them, but how would you know that every item is on here?
Yeah.
No.
You would, unless you went in, you would know that, and I personally wouldn't wanna go in.
But I don't know if this would help us or not, this minimum housing standards, you know, I mean.
I think overall, what they're trying to do is to try to get, kind of like a protocol or, you know, a base of saying, you know, what we would try to remedy locally, and then when we would, you know, shift.
Okay, but here's my question. What if you run into a house that has 2 or 3 of these, it's not in compliance with 2 or 3 of these, what's our step? We condemn the house and tell them they have to leave?
That's what
Yeah.
we're trying to do.
If it's declared by the state, you know, the air quality, the mold, and all the testing and everything, then they.
Well, that has nothing to do with this. There's no
Yeah, because there's no
testing.
mold and stuff on here.
That's in the pages further back, I guess. So the stuff further back is
There's a mold part.
the state
Mold remediation.
criteria.
Yes.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
I mean, is there a remedial period where they can fix any problems that are identified, or is it?
The way that I understood it from Mark, you say like it's a rental property, you send the property owner what the health department has found based off the standard and code, and then they have, so you give them a time to remedy it, and then you go back and check it, and if not, then we'll, we have to take it a step further after that.
Yeah. I figured there had to be some, here's the problem, you have such and such days, we'll come back if it's not fixed and further action will be taken.
So this even applies to homeowners, not just rentals, right? So you're gonna tell a person who bought a house, they don't meet these standards, so they have to get out and they can't come back?
I guess it would depend on who's complaining.
I mean, a rental's a different thing, that's the
Right,
business they're
and,
making, a rental's different, they're making money off of that, and they should have to provide, in my opinion, a minimum standard of living. If you're
Well-
gonna, but if a person owns a house,
It doesn't have a water heater.
yeah, and it doesn't have a water heater or chooses to live like that, and we're saying, no, you can't do that, we're gonna kick them out, now what we're gonna do, we're gonna condemn the house and tear it down? I don't
There has to be a
understand.
complaint filed though, right, on
Right,
that,
yeah.
to do that, so, I mean,
There has to be a complaint filed?
there would have to be
Yeah,
for us. to
We wouldn't know about it otherwise.
right.
Right, and honestly, like the complaints we get
I'm sorry?
are, the complaints that we're getting when people call are on rental properties. I mean, we get very few complaints on the actual homeowner occupant situation.
The only other thing I could think of, maybe where somebody that owns a home is if like CPS got involved or something and there'd
Yeah,
be,
then we have to.
there'd be,
That's
a-
it.
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, and those are condemned.
And what about buy-sell transactions too? I mean, it's something, you know, is somebody gonna potentially look at something and try to get involved in that, or because it's missing something?
I mean, that, in my opinion, you get it inspected before you
Sure.
change, before money changes hands and then you back out.
Yeah.
But some people choose to live like that, that's what I'm saying.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
They
mean,
choose to live like that.
as long as we're not going through and doing,
I don't have a problem with that on rentals.
you know,
I would agree with that, but yeah.
I don't have a problem with having a minimum housing standards for rentals. But as far as somebody who owns a home and chooses to live like that, I'm not sure that that's,
unless it affects their neighbors.
unless it affects their neighbors.
If you don't have a toilet and you go crap in your neighbor's yard.
Yard, yeah. Yeah, but you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, in our line, I think probably what would come to mind would be somebody that would be elderly, that maybe somebody did a wellness check on or something like that, and then we might hear, or,
House in deplorable condition.
yeah, that they don't have hot water, the stove don't work, nobody's coming in clean, and there's feces all over. I think that might fall in.
Yeah, I don't know what you do in this case.
Cause then, like I
Unless
said,
people are smarter than I am, you guys.
Usually what happens is people come in and try and fix things up, otherwise they end up in a nursing home or something like that.
if it's elderly.
And that's probably the
Best
best
thing for
anyway,
them, yes.
if they can't take care of themselves.
Mhm.
So
It's often, if it's in that condition, the house is probably the least of the person's problem.
Yes,
There are probably a lot of other activities of daily living that they can't safely do anymore in an elderly situation.
Yeah.
So we need, I guess the question is whether we adopt something like this on a county level or just follow the state guidelines or?
So what's the direct question being brought to us?
I think this is almost like informational, or am I wrong about that? Or do you wanna,
Yes and no. I think that what they were looking for was some guidance on, going into this, because it seems like we have gotten quite a few calls here lately on this type of situation, which every situation is gonna vary, different. If we needed to kind of establish some type of a protocol or guidelines, to follow, to whether, we'd be more like, well, we really can't help you, or, well, yeah, the health department can step in, and this is what we're gonna come in and check. And if you don't meet these, then, we're gonna move forward with whatever we feel would be the best route, whether it be putting pressure on the, landlord, or whether it be turning it over to the state,
so we have
Some
this,
guidance, I think.
yeah. I mean, you provide us with these, basically the state guidelines.
Yeah.
And then on top of it, say guidelines, this is minimum standard of Hamilton County.
Yeah, that's what we're
Okay.
doing, that's kind of what they're following.
So, how do you all feel about that? I mean,
I mean, if it's a rental property and there's a complaint that, like, there's one of these, then we can, you know, go look at it, and if this isn't there, then, you know, if these aren't met and they don't fix it, then the person has to move out. I don't know the legal thing about getting like their rent back or anything like that. We'd have to talk to a lawyer to figure out how that part goes for the complainant, but
That's not,
I
I mean,
mean,
that's not our concern.
yeah,
They're
but I mean,
getting- they're
if
getting right back.
we can try and get them to fix it, and if not, then it just gets condemned and they can't rent it again.
Yeah, I think this, having something, you know, documented, just takes some subjectivity out of it. You know, it's
Yeah.
one person's opinion of livability versus another person's opinion of livability. but
Yeah, this is
it'd be
very,
different. This would
this
be a
is
little
pretty
more black and
specific.
white.
Greg, is this something that you feel like we adopt, we should go ahead and recommend this be adopted so that you would have guidelines if you're called out?
Well,
And you have a checklist of what you're going through?
it would help, but a lot of these properties are owned by companies in Indianapolis and stuff like that, that bought them at the tax sales and different things and stuff. And they're hard to get a hold of, I guess, is what she's saying, so.
Have we've had this one incident, have we had more than,
We had that one up at Dell that we went up there and
The whole burn.
the home ended up burning. My
and
grandma
this,
were at
and it
home.
didn't meet, it obviously did not meet
No.
some of these criteria, right?
Yes.
Read that.
Right.
And that was a rental or a homeowner?
That was actually a homeowner, and the neighbor filed a complaint because she was getting,
Rats.
rats and, mosquito infestation. And so, basically there, what, I kind of turned it over to the town's planning and zoning, because it was in Dale.
And they have a home inspector there. Or house inspector, okay, so.
But, they were gonna take steps at their meeting, but then the home burned before they got all their steps in place.
I can see that.
Now the guy's in the nursing home.
But they told this lady that they can't do
That's a big
anything for her.
thing.
I was gonna name the name, but I won't.
But I, you know, like, because we were kind of discussing this at my house. And a lot of, like, the municipal towns that have zoning have minimum housing standards in their zoning. So, but I think part of the problem is if you're getting a complaint and they say it's a health issue, then I feel like that's where you're gonna have to, if it's in a town, we're gonna have to work hand in hand with that municipality to try to get it remedied, or we might get some pushback saying, hey, we're not in the county, why are you even here in our town, trying to enforce something?
Well, then to me, we just back out from there. We just back out of that and let them take care of it because they have the zoning and they have the inspector, that should be their responsibility. And we just back out of that.
But again, economic development called and, I mean, was that Monday? And was asking questions with Greg, and that, I mean, they had no idea that Hatfield wasn't even an incorporated town. So, you know, I think on like that side, because they're wanting to get things going and cleaned up too, but they don't even know who's what jurisdiction. It's kind of just a strange situation.
So you said that some of those houses are bought at tax sales by corporations out of Indianapolis, right? I guess we could always, if they don't meet these standards, tell them they got 60 days to fix it, or we fine them, I guess. But if they're not renting it, if it's not rented out, then that's fine, because there's nobody in there. But I guess we could always say, you got 60 days, if you're gonna continue to rent this to this person, you got 60 days to fix it, or 30 days, I don't care, whatever, 10 days. Otherwise, you face a fine of so many dollars a day for every day you rent it out. Then would that solve that problem? And that's enforceable, right?
But can we do that in the town of Dale, an incorporated city?
I wouldn't think so. That's,
Cause they're within the county.
yeah, but they also have their own zoning
Yeah.
laws, and they have their own building inspector. So we would be out there and leave that to them, would be my opinion.
Traditionally, if it's in a town,
City, yeah, the city deals with it.
Yeah, that's the city. They have their own building inspector, their own zoning laws. And if they're not gonna enforce them, why should we step in and enforce them?
Hatfield is definitely a problem area that we could, it's in our jurisdiction to do something with, because it's not incorporated and stuff. So, and there's several properties down there.
My thought is that 95% of the situations you're gonna come across in one of the towns or cities is gonna be covered by their stuff. I can't see, there could be potentially some situations that are specific to health, like mosquitoes or some type of disease that might not cover specifically a nuisance ordinance by a town or a city. But 95% of the rest of the stuff is they're gonna overlap, because there's nuisance ordinances that these places have that cover this type of stuff, animals, vegetation, things that they're probably causing the issue. If we're covering the rest of the county, then unless it's something like that, you probably shouldn't be expending your resources and time in a place that's not directly under your jurisdiction. I think you probably could, but at the same time, like, if you're covering all of Hatfield, why are we going to jail to cover what they should be enforcing themselves?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
But I mean, you do have all these orders, you can get an order to inspect, you can go in there if you have a concern, and they give you consent to go in there and look and do these things. You could order them to clean it up. If they don't clean it up, we can go clean it up and then charge them for it, things like that. That's probably the more realistic remedy, because just in my experience, you start finding people in these situations, you're never gonna see that money. I mean, if they can't keep their house up, they're not gonna be scared by a $20 fine.
I was more being more specific about rental. That's a business, that's not a private.
Mhm.
Like I said, in this case, that, you might be able to get, like Dr. Erickson said, you might be able to get people in there to help them out, or, people who own homes, but people who rent, the landlord should be responsible for that, and I think you can find them, and I think it is collectible.
You can find both. I
Huh?
think generally you can impose against anybody that has a property interest, which would likely be a renter and likely be an owner. So if a rental property is horrible, in general, you're gonna send it to the renter and to the owner, because they both have property interests. One owns it, one has a rental interest or a contractual interest in the property. So both of them would be getting these notices, both of them hypothetically could be on the hook.
Could be fined.
Yeah.
But the minimum housing standard, that falls upon the the person renting it. The house needs to be this way.
You mean
Like,
you mean the landlord?
yeah, the landlord, yeah. The
Usually
landlord is
works.
responsible to
That's what
provide
I
the
think, yeah.
minimum housing,
Yep.
like, the mowing the lawn or that,
That part
things,
falls
yeah,
on
that falls
the
upon
renter,
the renter, yeah.
not the landlord.
Now, if there's rats before they move in, it could be rats because they didn't throw their garbage away and they're just hoarding, so. But the minimum housing standards, I think this specifically falls upon the landlord.
That's what I was getting at, and that would specifically fall the fine on to the landlord. But maybe I'm wrong.
Depends on what statute you're going under. I mean,
Yeah,
unsafe,
I figured, yeah.
unsafe building, I think, is anybody with a property interest, so it could be all of them. basically, like, it could be technically a fine or a judgment where they're all equally and severably liable. So we could say, all of y'all owe us $500 because it's your house, but you're not maintaining it. You both have an interest. All we care about is the property being maintained. But that doesn't stop them from arguing amongst themselves, like landlord saying, you're supposed to maintain the property, now I got a $500 fine, that's really on you because you didn't maintain the property but that gets into what are we enforcing and why specifically. I mean,
But I guess if we told them if it's not remedied one way or the other, that in 60 days that we're gonna condemn it, you have to move out, could we do that?
say that again?
And not even impose a fine, say we find, I don't know, 3 of these items or whatever is in violation, just on the front page here. You know, let's say it doesn't have running hot water and it doesn't have a safe electrical service. And it's a rental house, and we tell them they have 60 days to remedy it, and in 60 days, if they don't remedy it, then that person has to move out, the landlord loses income. Could we do that, just say, you know, it's condemned, you have to move out?
You can give them 5 days. Statute says you can order a house that's unfit for habitation to be vacated not less than 5 days, but not more than 15.
Well, whatever, I don't care about that part of it.
So you're-
It's just using
Yeah,
the
but
number.
because you can't have, the deed doesn't state and have them in there for, I mean, you're saying that if we deem it, if it's deemed unsafe or whatever, they've got to move out immediately, right?
Yeah, within 5 days.
Within-
Okay, but my question is, if it doesn't have hot running water, is that deemed unsafe? No, that's deemed a violation of the minimum housing code. That's not deemed unsafe.
It's unfit for human habitation is the standard, not unsafe.
Well, I don't believe hot running water is deemed uninhabitable. It violates the minimum standards, but is that really?
I think you'd have to have potable water. I mean,
Yeah, but this says you have to have heated water. So I don't believe that deems it as uninhabitable, just because they don't have hot water.
You talking about Hamilton, theirs?
Yeah,
This
yeah.
is-
Yeah, that's what I'm using this as a reference.
I mean, I think realistically, and Greg, maybe you can tell me if I'm wrong. Realistically, are you ever gonna get to a point where you're like, well, I'm not sure if this house is actually unfit for human habitation? I think you usually, by the time it gets up to us, probably in pretty bad shape, that you're not gonna have too many doubts that this is not fit for habitation. I don't know if this is gonna help you say, oh, well, they don't have hot water, I really need to start kicking them out. I think you're gonna be like, there's, piles of feces everywhere in this home. This is when I need to be
Kind of like
involved.
Perry
Yeah, well, yeah.
County. Recent.
You're alive.
Yeah.
For the 0 people watching probably. So, I mean, this is Hamilton County, so I think correct me if I'm wrong, are you asking for like, when do I need to start going in? And when can I tell them, hey, my board doesn't want me to start? My board wants me to focus on areas that are our concern first.
Right.
We're gonna defer to the local jurisdictions, and we're only gonna get involved in Dale if it's specifically a health issue like, like malaria is something, or whatever, some disease that is spreading, that maybe a town's like, well, you don't have a standard for stopping malaria, but we do because that's a communicable disease or something like that. You know what I'm saying? So I think, again, 95% of what he will see, what they will see, is covered by their own stuff. If you have the whole town of Hatfield that has no regulation other than this, then I bet you could spend all day in Hatfield pretty much enforcing this.
And this is probably not gonna come up unless there's a dispute, you think?
A complaint of some
Yeah, a
type.
complaint from a renter or a buyer, I would think. I don't know. I'm not sure
Is there
what
any-
gives you the best tools
Is-
to work with it, you know what I mean?
Is there any way that Andrew could give guidance on some type of steps, something that they would be able to follow? Because I think where they're coming from, and you know, you sit in the office there and you work with these people, yeah, some of it is just a conflict, and so you get pulled in the middle of that, but then the other part of it is, you know, these are people that you don't want to hurt, you want to try to help them, and you want to try to do what's right, and sometimes that's a hard road to navigate in situations.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think that they're just trying to look for some type of a line saying, okay, this is where we start and this is what we're gonna follow through. And yeah, there's gonna be variance because each situation's different, but you know, to kind of give some type of guidelines. I don't know that, I think we've always just, everybody just said, well, you just follow IC code and go by what state says unless we have a local ordinance. And I think they're just wanting something kind of, and I'm not going to speak it out.
Yeah, you're hitting the nail on the head, really.
I mean, I can work on something for the next meeting that might kind of thread the needle.
Well, that would probably give them a better, more concrete tool thing to use. Is that how you feel about it? I mean, we want you to have what you need. It's always messy, right? When you get pulled into this, it's like quicksand. And-
Somebody's not gonna be happy.
Exactly. And I can see the, you know, if you're saying, hey, nobody can live in this house, you have somebody that's living in the house could be upset, or they could be overjoyed that, you know, it's a knife that cuts both ways on this. But you want, it's basically to protect, you gotta remember that basically it's to protect the public.
I guess maybe beating a dead horse, but just looking at this, the other thing that I'm, like, every dwelling unit should have a refrigerator. I mean, and we're basically instituting a de facto standard that all rental properties are provided a refrigerator. It's like, you know, that, you know, well, if your refrigerator breaks, now the landlord has to replace it, or the violation of this, you know, I don't know, that's just, and I don't think that's necessarily practice across the board in rental properties.
Well, and I kind of, like, when I look at that, considering the background I just come from, that basically, what they've adopted is the fair housing standard for rental properties. I mean, those are all things I comply with at low-income housing. And, you know, if I didn't meet those standards, they could call up state and turn me in on a fair housing violation. And I can tell you right now, those are thousands of dollars in fines if you don't come into compliance within 14 days. You know, so I mean, it could be one of those things where we just say, call up state and call the Indiana Housing Authority and make your rental complaint first. But if it's truly a health issue where, you know, you could be bit by something and get a disease, then we would step in.
Good.
But that was in a managed, complex there in Dale. where you
Well,
were working.
yeah, but
But-
still, even all landlords have to comply with the fair housing standard. It's a federal law
Yeah, but
that
what if-
states
Like the
enforced.
refrigerator, if the appliances are not included in,
The rental agreement that was signed.
Well,
by
then
both
it would
parties.
say so, it should say so in the rental agreement.
Most of the time I think,
well,
a lot of times it wouldn't.
But, you know, we might be able to kick some of it out of our way just by referring them to the Indiana Housing Authority and say, I rented this, this is the situation, and see what the state does first.
Yeah, if there's
Just
a
a
mechanism in
suggestion.
place, if there's a mechanism in place to deal with some of these things, then I'd say we defer to that mechanism and not get in the middle of it.
Yeah. Well, that I'm at a little loss of what exactly our next step should be here. Then, do we want Andrew to work on something that gives you all a tool to use it? Because we've kind of gone around in a circle.
Yeah.
So is standard operating procedure really what you're looking for, just for certain scenarios? Is that something you can do? I think that's.
I
what
can
we
throw
use.
something together, I don't know if it's what you're gonna want to instruct them to do.
I mean,
I think it makes sense to leave the areas that have an enforcement authority already, let them handle their, their business, and then the places that
Yeah.
would need us, we're the only, people to.
Out in the county or unincorporated.
Yeah.
yeah, they gotta give us somewhere to start to go next.
Yeah. So why don't we do that? And
And that still has to be approved by the commissioners, doesn't it?
once we come up with something.
Well, this would be a protocol. This would be how you are kind of instructing the health department to go about enforcement. It's kind of like if you're a prosecutor, there's all these laws that are technically criminal, but some prosecutors say, listen, I'm not doing X, Y, and Z because the resources and the time and the people I have, I need to focus on A, B, and C. This is kind of what you would be telling them, like, technically you can enforce every one of these things everywhere at all times, and we don't have, a legion of people, we have one person doing this. So with the resources we got, this is how we want you to apply them to make things better, That I don't think you have to get commissioner approval on, because that's,
Falls within the.
it's department operating procedure, yeah. Now, if you wanted to make something specific, like local ordinance requires you to have a fridge in every,
Or put fines in place, then that
yeah,
has
that
to
would
be
be a
approved.
commissioner thing. Yeah, I'll get something together.
Okay. All right, so the other new business was updated health plan for HFI approval. I read what Minnie had written up, and it was based on what we wrote when that whole HFI thing came up, and it's really this one page, and it's basically an update on what we're doing and focusing on. And I mean, it highlighted the areas where we felt like we had effectively spent some money and made a difference. So we need basically board approval for the health plan, which you need to submit
Yeah, I'll submit
by.
this week. I'll get with Michelle Muller and ask her when, they want to turn it in. And they said that we needed to review one to get it turned in, so.
Okay. So do I have a motion to approve our health plan?
I would make a motion, this looks pretty good.
Like I said, I haven't found it yet. This is not right.
It's got that identifiable state symbol there at the top.
I don't see my stuff.
There.
Oh, there it is. That's stuck in between these, yeah, many crescents.
A second.
Do what?
A second.
Well, I like to see it before I vote on it. I'm like, I think I'm looking at the wrong thing.
The only thing I see is one very minor typo. As we look forward as a capital S, capital A, capital S, as we look forward. We are, but
Maybe she
okay.
meant that. As we look forward.
But like I said, extremely minor typo.
All right, you got a motion in a second.
All in favor, say one other order of business, then, we have any other order of business? Okay. So we do need to come up with a meeting date for a executive session follow-up. You don't have your calendars with you? That's gonna be some of those calendars.
Yeah, it is.
Once it hits June, I'm very challenged for time. The rest of April and May, I can make most work.
Okay, I mean,
I'm out the 15th through the 22nd, I'm gonna be here.
okay,
In
well,
April. How'd they do that? But 13th, 14th,
well,
27, 28, 29, 30.
I have, you say you're out 15th through the 22nd?
I think it's 15th through 22nd. Maybe it's.
Yeah, I'm tired of the 13th, 14th. I have like April 22nd, 23rd, 21st, 22nd, 23rd, free, 27th, 28th.
I can do 27, 28. I can do probably 24.
Friday.
I don't care.
27th would be better
Maybe
for
not very
me.
well. Partying.
Does that get you, Andrew?
What date was it?
27th, that's a Monday, I know you have some
Yeah.
meetings on
Not the fourth Monday, I'm first, second, third Monday, I'm usually out, that's the fourth Monday.
Just the first, second, and third Monday.
And the third Tuesday, and the quarterly Wednesday.
Jason?
Is it 27th? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I will be out of state that whole week.
How many do we need for quorum? 5? 4?
4?
Or
4, yeah. The 27 work for you?
I should. I don't see anything.
That would be 5 of us.
Or,
That'd be 5 of us.
And then we can check it down.
if you can make it.
Well, I know it's gonna be a big challenge. And let's go ahead and set, 6:30 on Monday, 27th of April. And, if it doesn't work out, I'm sorry, Jason, I don't,
I completely understand.
it's gonna be a challenge getting a lot of schedules.
Oh, crap.
Yeah, I'll get a hold of Adam. All right.
Yay. April 27th,
6:30.
6:30 here.
Benny, can you check and see if this is available, please? All right. Do we have any other business? Talk about? Okay. All right, we have a motion to adjourn.
I will motion to adjourn.
We have a second.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye. All right, thank you.